Oh, wow. Sorry, that was a huge delay. Let's simply put, my village people were fighting against me, but I stayed victorious. Okay, so we're going to have Oluwabumi join us again. Like I said earlier, Oluwabumi is a soccer analyst, and she just recently made the switch, and she's a soccer analyst at SoC Africa, and she'll be coming here to tell us all about, you know, it's in the life of a soccer analyst. So give me a second, let me add her to the stream again. Thank you, Bumi, for being patient and staying with us. Thank you so much. All right, you have the floor. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. We are really honored to have you, give us some time of your day. We understand that soccer analysts are really busy people, and we're really excited to have you join us. So before we go straight into session, I just want you to give them one fun fact about yourself, just to ease the room, calm everyone down. We are curious, what's your life like? What's your daily life like? What do you do? What keeps you happy? What keeps you smiling? So can you just tell one fun fact about yourself?
Okay. When I'm not studying, I like to play games. I play games,
Okay.
or I watch movie to cool my head.
All right. So like, can I ask what kind of movies you particularly enjoy?
Okay, recently I think I enjoy watching like tech movies, like movies related to crimes, investigating and all. But nevertheless, I also watch other romantic movies too.
Oh wow, okay. That's really interesting. All right. So that being said, you can if you enjoy crime movies like she does, or you can take a look and see that, well, Oluwabumi likes to have fun. So being a soccer analyst doesn't mean your life will suddenly become boring or that your life will go on a halt. She has a life too. So that being said, I have a couple of questions already, prepared questions that people have already asked, and they're still going to be asking a lot more. But before I go, let's just dive right into it. Like I said, so I understand that you've had an interesting career journey. But I want to know, did you know you were going to list back when you were in college? For those who are in Nigeria or in other parts, college could be university, secondary school, depending on your educational system. So did you know back in college that you were going to become a soccer analyst, or did you have something in mind before that?
Okay, no, I didn't know I was going to be a soccer analyst from college. Owing to the fact that I didn't have a technical background, I studied aquaculture and fisheries management. So
Hey.
I wouldn't have thought of becoming a soccer analyst because of that. But my career journey started after NYC, when you know how the situation of the country is, where it's very hard to get a job. So after so much effort in getting a job, I tried looking for something to do with myself, and then I found tech. So I was like, let me give it a shot, because it was like what everybody was talking about. So I started as a front-end developer, but I couldn't continue because I had some constraints then. I didn't have a laptop, and it doesn't make sense if you are coding and you don't have a system. But then I still wanted to do tech. So I went to make research about other cybersecurity, other tech careers I could gain, other skills I could gain without having a laptop. Then I found cybersecurity. So I saw that there are things I could learn in cybersecurity without having to own a laptop. So I made use of some free resources I saw online. There were a lot of free boot camps, especially for women. So I leveraged on those opportunities, then networked with people. Then I found about cyber boot camp. Then I registered for it, and I was selected as part of the trainees, and that was where everything started from.
All right, that's a beautiful and a beautiful path. I'm sure there are days you're like, what in God's name am I doing in my life? What is happening? What direction do I take next? Yes, yes, yes. That's an interesting switch from something not so technical, not technical actually, and then to try your hands on being a developer, and then next, oh wow, cybersecurity, here we come. So that's an interesting journey. So it's okay. I think my key take back from that is that it's okay to wonder a bit, to wander off and try a bit of a couple of things. And cybersecurity is always here, right here, open arms. Like you've already taken that decision. I'm sure many people on this call wondered a bit. Some people own businesses here. Actually, some people have years of experience here in other parts. So it's really beautiful to watch that. You took that whole journey and came right here and utilized all of the resources. Wow, wow, that's a beautiful one. So like I started the session, I was asking who a SOC analyst is. I'm sure you were smiling at the responses. I'm sure no, most of the responses got you smiling. So I really want you to tell me what it means to be a SOC analyst. What does that role entail? What are your day-to-day tasks? I just want you to breeze through all of that.
Okay. A SOC analyst is actually a security professional who works at the Security Operations Center, which is short form for SOC, of an organization, and the major role is actually protection. So you are meant to protect the company's assets and the IT systems. So what you do is you use the same tools. There are going to be events that are going to be highlighted, and they come to the same tools. So this is where you see all these events, everything happening on the company's environment. So you are meant to monitor this environment, you investigate, you analyze the events as they come, and you respond to them by profounding. So you also recommend recommendations for any of these events that you see. You can also call your SOC analyst as a frontline incident handler. So they're the first people that interact with these events as they come in. So what you do is, for instance, now you are seeing a user failing to log in into their account multiple times. So you feel that why should you be failing to log in into your account? So it could be that maybe the user forgot their password, or it could actually be somebody trying to force the user account. So when you see things like this, as a SOC analyst, you're meant to inform the organization to actually confirm if this is a legitimate activity or is not the user trying to do that. So this is what you do like every day. And then my day-to-day task is more like, you, as a SOC analyst, you're going to be interacting with SIM tools. This is what you're going to be working with every time, and endpoint detection response tools too. So you monitor with these tools, and you also analyze data as they come. You prefer solutions. You raise a ticket depending on the structure of your company or of your company. You raise a ticket to explain what you've seen, and you also recommend a solution to what to do about what you saw on the scene. So this is what like the day-to-day task of a SOC analyst looks like.
All right, thank you so much. I think I really needed to touch on the fact, a lot of people see a tier 1 SOC analyst, tier 2. I just want you to brush up. What does that really mean? What does that entail? How does that apply in the work environment?
Okay, so a tier 1 analyst, a tier 1 SOC analyst they are the ones that they do more of the security monitoring for suspicious activity and possible threats, but they are not the one involved in combating these threats. So what they do is just to monitor for suspicious activity. So once they are done with that, they raise a ticket to state what they've seen and put a recommendation. Then if there's at any point they're having issues with any of these incidents, they escalate to the tier 2, and this is where the tier 2 comes in. So tier 2 are more experienced than tier 1. They review the tickets that has been raised by the tier 1 and make sure that they're being resolved. They also do in-depth investigation to know the root cause of those activity, and they also gather more data from various sources for further investigation. They use they use other tools like the endpoint detection tool. So some of them have they have the some organization gives the tier two let me call it administrative privileges to some of these that endpoints. So they're able to combat some of these threats by either delete, let me say like a malicious file was downloaded by a user. So tier two can actually like delete those files from those endpoints and the likes. So they are more of doing a more investigation about the incident and knowing the root cause, then making sure that these incidents are resolved. So that's what they do. And in some organizations, tier twos too, they do threat hunting, but not all organizations, but for some, you can see a tier two doing threat hunting.
Right, that's really interesting. Okay, so I'm sure right here, there are many fellows who are obviously trying to start their career in cybersecurity. So how would I know SOC analyst path is the right way to go for me? So I just wanted to know, how do I know, what are the key indicators for me as a person? What are the things I would really like to do that will make that path best suited for me?
Okay, so when I see people say they want to switch to tech, I tell them that tech is not actually going to be for everybody. And if you want to be a SOC analyst, you need to know your personality, because that's to do with more of you. You need to understand the kind of person you are, the kind of traits that you possess, because this is actually going to help you in choosing which of the career paths to follow in cybersecurity. And if you want to do SOC, if you want to become a SOC analyst, you need to be someone that if you're someone that have strong data analysis, you should be able to be very good in analyzing data. You must be a skilled problem solver, because you're going to be interacting with different incidents every day, and you must enjoy solving problems. You must be very inquisitive. You must be someone that's always ready to learn. They're not the type that they need to tell you before you do things. You must always be ready to do something. Then if you're the type that pay attention to details, you must be able to easily notice, like, you must be able to easily notice performance changes. Like for SOC analysts, even something that an average person could see and say, oh, this thing is normal. As a SOC analyst, you must be able to spot an anomaly. So you must be someone that pay attention to details, and you must have a high level of concentration, because when you're working in the SOC runs for 24 hours. So you're going to be working for like, let me say like, if you're like 9 hours straight. So for sometimes it depends on the structure of your organization. So you must have a high level of concentration, and funny enough, you must have an ability to work under pressure, because sometimes it's not easy. The work comes with some stress too. So you must have ability to work under pressure. So those are the things. If you know you have all these things, then I think the SOC analyst part is for you.
All right. So I think my key take back from there was, as a SOC analyst, you need to keep your eyes open, be watchful, and be intuitive. Quick to this is not the usual trend. This is not how it normally goes. So I think that's a very key take back for me. So is it safe for me to say to call SOC analysts the watchers? They're all out watching and making sure. Okay,
attackers are never asleep, so you must.
So your eyes must be open at all times. All right. That's really interesting. So are we all listening? If you want to be a SOC analyst, your eyes must be open. You must be very good at analyzing data, as she said. And most importantly, you must not sleep or slumber. You have no sleep. Not that you do not have off days, but yes, at all times you must be alert. You're a soldier. But this soldier is basically watching and making sure the attackers don't get through. So yes, that's interesting. I suddenly want to be a SOC analyst already. All right, so for you, what would you say is the most challenging project or experience you've had in your career? I just really want to know, what was that challenge, and what did you learn from it? The most challenging project in your career so far.
Okay, as I said earlier, that I didn't know I was going to be a SOC analyst. So the most challenging part for me now as a SOC analyst is when I started, it was not easy for me to settle in because I had to learn a lot of things at a very short period of time. So it was a little overwhelming, and I couldn't understand some things initially. It took me time to be able to settle in and understand some of the things I needed to do as a SOC analyst. And what I learned from that is that you will need to be patient with yourself at some point, especially at this stage when you're trying to get a footing in starting something. So what I learned is that you should not give up, because when you have passion for something, I think that passion is what will actually keep you going, even when everything seems like they're not working. So what I learned is that I shouldn't give up, like keep learning. And I know that it might not look like it at the beginning, but at the long run, everything is going to worth it. It's going to everything is will start merging up, and you see that, oh, I actually know these things. But at first it will look like it's very difficult. So that was what happened. But at the long run, I realized some of the things, and I learned those things. And I just realized that you should just keep improving yourself, and you don't need to give up. So those were the things I learned.
Oh wow, okay, that's interesting. There was a time I saw a quote that said, as a cybersecurity professional, you need two things most importantly. You must be first be eager to learn at all times, and then you need perseverance. And I think your story has just further buttressed that point. You are constantly learning most importantly as a SOC analyst. And yes, perseverance is one thing. So what are the skills were required for you to break into this field and excel at it? I understand that you moved from fisheries and aquaculture, if I got that right, and you took a journey and straight into being a SOC analyst. What were the skills that were required for you to break in?
Okay, so I'll break the skills into two parts. You need some technical skills and soft skills. So for the technical skills, you need to understand networking. You need to understand some basic things in networking, let me say, like subnetting, IP addressing. You need to understand operating systems, the Linux, Windows. You need to understand some security concepts, and you will need to know attack frameworks, because as a SOC analyst, you need to be able to think like an attacker. So you need to understand attack framework. You need to understand the tactics, the techniques, and procedure. The reason why they do what they do. How do you think they're able to do it? And what are the tools they use? So these are the things that you need to you need to these are the skills you need to get at as a as a soccer analyst. So for the soft skills, you need to have someone that pays attention to details. You must be a team player, which is very, very important. You must be a good team player, because you're not going to be working alone. You're going to be working in a SOC, and there are other people, and there are some points whereby you guys will have to interact, so that there are things that you guys are going to do, there are projects that you do together. So you must be a good team player. Then you must have communication skills, both verbal and written, because you're going to be explaining all the data you get from your SIM to either your client or your organization. So you must be very good in communicating. Then you must always be self-motivated, because a lot of times the work is always there, and you will not have anybody to motivate you to do what you have to do. So you must always be the one to motivate yourself to get things done. So these are the basic skills you need.
Those are the basic skills. Thank you so much. Okay, so before I go on to the next question, please, if you're listening in, and you have some questions for Ahai, just start to drop them in the chat box while we go through the rest of the conversation with Oluwabumi. If you have any questions from something she said, something you have in mind that hasn't been mentioned yet, just start to drop them in the chat box. Thank you. So Oluwabumi, if there's someone here who wants to start a role as a SOC analyst, a tier 1 SOC analyst, what are the other InfoSec parts that can pivot their careers? If someone here wants to start, basically, what are the InfoSec roles or parts that can pivot their careers after some years? So I know that the SOC analyst tier 1 years, but After then what?
Okay, so as a SOC analyst, there are different roles that you can pivot your career to later. You can pivot to being a digital forensic analyst. You can also provide to threat intelligence analyst. So threat intelligence analyst, the analysts that they gather investigation, they gather data from open source. There are some open source tools that they use to gather data. And you can also pivot to being a SIM engineer. Okay. As a SOC analyst, you already know what a SIM does, so you can pivot to being a SIM engineer. You can also be a security engineer, or yeah, you could be or a security or cloud security. So you could switch later to cloud, to securing your data on the cloud.
All right, thank you. So before we proceed, someone wants to know, is that an entry level role? Is SOC analyst tier one an entry level role? In simple terms, just can you bust that question really quick?
Please, can you come again?
Okay, so wants to find out if SOC analyst being if it's an entry level role, is it entry level?
Yes, it is.
All right. Okay, so what would you say is the most challenging part of your job as a SOC analyst, and what do you find most interesting about your job? What go back to work the next day? What is that thing that's most interesting and challenging? You can do challenging and then interesting.
Okay, so the most challenging part of my job as a SOC analyst is not missing out incidents. Okay, so you're going to be working with SIM tools and analyzing the alerts as they come in from your different log sources. So the most challenging part is actually not missing any event that could any suspicious activity. And also, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We can hear you.
Okay, so I said that the most challenging part of my job is actually not missing early sign of compromise in an environment, and trying to meeting expectation, like trying to do what I'm expected to do the way I'm expected to do them. Because there are lots of data and information to consume, and you need to try to interpret it and make sense out of it. So in doing that, you might miss out some things, which this part is actually the most very, very important part of the job, whereby you don't miss out and incidents that could actually be a sign of compromise in the organization environment.
All right. Just for anyone listening in, it is very important not to miss anything, because that one thing you skip that day could be the reason why the company gets brought down to its knees, and negotiating with someone who had maybe just who was behind a ransomware attack or something. Like literally, one mistake is all it takes. It's really fragile. And yes, so like I said before, you need to shine your eye, keep it wide open properly, and not miss anything. So yeah, that's really interesting. I can imagine that you have a lot of adrenaline rush, during the day, like, oh, could this be? Could this not be? And yes, that would get anyone interested. So someone is asking if there's a certification that should be taken, no, an entry level certification to become a SOC analyst.
Yes, there are certifications for that you can take. So one of them is the Computer Security Plus.
All right, is it that's a necessity before I start up becoming a SOC analyst?
Okay, it's important, but I won't say it's very, very compulsory, because it actually depends on the organization you are going to work with. Some of them make it very compulsory, while others don't make it, and they feel that you can get this later on as you grow on the job.
All right. Okay. So, I'm going to ask this question, but I really think it's in line with the flow right now. What particular tools do you use day to day to monitor threats? I know you'd gone through a couple of them at the points. Just I want you to just clearly outline to them what tools on a daily basis, what tools do you use to monitor threats?
Okay, these tools actually varies from organization to organization, but the ones I use daily are some of the same tools are ArcSight, I curate um, Alien Vault appliance or anywhere. I also interact with some of the endpoint detection tools too. We have the Carbon Black Cloud, Microsoft Defender, the MDATP. We have Net Witness, RSA Net Witness. So these are tools that I use. So for me, I want to say too, as a SOC analyst, you might either be working with your organization or you are working with an MSSP, which is managed security service provider. So if you are working with an MSSP, you guys are going to have various clients that you're working with, and these tools are going to differ from an organization from each customer. So not all of them are going to be maybe using ArcSight or QRadar. So whatever tools you use every day might not be the same because it depends on the customer that you are monitoring, and this will determine the tools that you use. But regardless, these tools they vary. So, but these are just some of them that I've interacted with. The one I listed, they're the ones that I've interacted with and I use almost every time I'm on shift working.
All right. So before we go back to all the other questions in the chat box, I really want to know if you could have done anything different from being a SOC analyst, what would it be and why?
Okay, if I could have done anything different, I could have been a front end developer because that was where everything started from. And if I not for the constraint that I faced earlier, I think that was what I would have been doing now. And the reason why I would have done that is because actually I enjoy coding, I enjoy designing web page, I enjoy writing codes, and that's the reason why I would have been a front end developer.
All right. So someone here is interested in, what the financial compensation will be, the average salary for someone who is a SOC analyst. What is that figure? I know it differs from company to company, but what would you say the figure is on average, entry level?
Okay, there's no standard. There's no standard because yes, there's no standard. That was why I was saying instead that you're working with an organization or with your company, like your company as a SOC, or you're working with an MSSP. So the financial compensation actually going to vary. I don't really have a standard because here in Nigeria there's no really standard for all these basic rules that we have. So I don't want to mention something and maybe when you get a job that paying you below that, then you will say this is what I said. So there's really no standard, but above 100.
All right.
Let me say above 100.
Okay. Okay, so is coding or programming required at any point in your career?
Yeah, not really, but understanding scripting. Like you don't really need to know how to do these things. Like, but if you have an idea of how they look like you if you can read a script now, it helps because there are sometimes that you're going to see some payloads that have some script inside, and being able to interpret these things actually make your work easier for you. You're able to make sense out of, oh, this is what this person is trying to do. This person is using this kind of tools, something like that. So having to know how to code too is a bit important, but it's not really compulsory. But when you know how to, if you know how to, is a plus for you.
All right. Okay, so someone else wants to know the skills you had mentioned earlier, when I asked what skills you'll be required to have to become an analyst. Someone's asking, are you expected to already have those skills before you come on board, or their skills, you're expected to develop over time?
Okay, so like I said, the SOC analyst role is actually at the entry level, and you're not expected to know everything. And depending on the organization that you're going to be working for, some of these skills are some of them you gain them on the job. But like the most important one that I feel that you need to know before you come into the job is networking. So I think that one is very, very important, because there's no how you want to, it will make the job a bit difficult for you if you don't understand networking and how operating system works. So this job, if you could even do some basic, if you could read on these things, even if you don't really understand them very well, but try to just take a step to just read them. But when you get on the job, they become, you begin to understand the reason why you were reading for networking maybe at some point. But this one, I think, is just one of the main one that you need to know before you come on the job.
Right. Okay. So someone wants to know, are there some some companies that you think in Nigeria, given that you understand the environment here, that will need a SOC analyst? You can just mention 2 or 3 that that will need a SOC analyst.
Some companies in Nigeria.
Any company at all you can think of.
Do you mean if they're recruiting?
No, not necessarily currently recruiting. I'm sure the one person wants to know where they can shoot their shots.
Okay. Some banks actually have SOC. So most banks have their own SOC. So SOCs they have SOC analysts there.
All right. So I'm going to just quickly move on to the next question before we go back answering questions from the masses. Okay. So what advice would you give fellows that something you wish you knew before you started your career? What just anything you wish you knew before now that you would like them to know before they start on their journey? What's that one thing?
Okay. So what I will say is that finding a path to follow is very, very important in cybersecurity, because cybersecurity is very broad, and if you're not careful, you can get lost in trying to find what to do. So once you are able to find a path you want to follow, maybe you want to be a SOC analyst, I'll say you should stick with it and try to grow in that path. Then you should try to learn one thing at a time, because there's a lot of things for you to know and for you to learn. But because if you're trying to do a lot of things at the same time, you can get overwhelmed and get confused on what next to do. So you try to learn one thing at a time, and at some point you're going to feel like, oh, I don't think I can do this, I don't think I can even know these things. You have to be very, very patient with yourself, especially if you're like me, that you're coming from a non-technical background. You might not understand some things at earlier enough, but I want you to know that at the long run, you'll be shocked about how much you will know. So just keep learning, and keep working and keep improving yourself.
All right, that's a beautiful, beautiful advice. Okay, before we close out, I just want to ask a couple of questions from people. People want to know. You told us what your daily activities look like, but they want a rundown, a proper rundown. So I wake up in the morning, I brush my teeth, and then I appear at work. So after I appear at work in the morning, what's the very first thing I do? What's the last thing I do before leaving the office? It's like a proper rundown. Can you give that to us?
Okay, let me try to paint a scenario. Let's just imagine, like,
yes.
Here now, yes, let me paint a scenario. So let's say you're working in a bank as a SOC analyst, and there are these same tools that you use. Let me say you guys use ArcSight and QRadar. That is the tools that you use in the bank. So what you do as a SOC analyst is when you get to your desk to work, you do your service checks. You make sure that the SIEM is running, the expected logs are coming in on the SIEM. You are seeing the SIEM. You make sure that you are getting the right data that is supposed to be on the SIEM. Then after doing your service check, making sure that the SIEM is running and they're receiving logs. The next thing to do is to start your work by monitoring and analyzing and investigating the alerts as they come. And there will be, I feel that there will be a way that you report these things that you see. Maybe you guys have a ticketing platform whereby you report what you see. Let me say that you see that you are seeing a lot of urban traffic from a particular host in your network communicating maybe to a malicious IP address, then maybe you open a ticket to say, oh, I suspected this, and you provide you recommend a solution that say, okay, maybe they should block this IP address, make sure that your softwares are updated, running with the latest version, something like that. Then maybe at some point you're having issues understanding some of these incidents. At this point, you escalate to your tier 2. They come in, maybe they explain to you on what to do and how to do them. So this is just how it flows.
All right. Thank you so much. That's really detailed. Okay, so a lot of people want to know, can I work hybrid as a SOC analyst, or must I always be physically present at my office?
Okay, it depends on the organization that you're working with. It depends.
Right.
I really cannot really explain in depth in that, but it depends. It depends on the organization you're working with. It depends on their structure, on how they want their SOC to run. So some might permit you to work remotely, while some might feel, oh, you need to be in the company's environment. And for the fact that a SOC operation operates 24 hours, like is always home. That if you have any other parts of your cyber security, of your IT, you notice that sometimes they go home and you guys are the only one that are going to be in the office. I don't think it's possible for you to work remotely, because the SOC is open 24 hours. There are going to be people that are on morning shift. There will be some that are going to be on night shifts. I don't think it will be easy working remotely as a SOC analyst.
Okay, so whenever you hear Oluwabumi say anything about ticketing, I have a couple of people who don't understand. Some organizations use applications like Jira, where you generate a ticket for something. If there's a problem, you generate a ticket. It's just a way of collaborating. So just for collaboration purposes, generate a ticket, forward it to someone who can best handle it, or respond to the person in real time. So yes, if you have an experience working with Jira, you understand what she means by ticketing. But if you do not, it's just for collaboration purposes. You can look it up, Jira. That's one of many. Please don't feel like it's limited to that. So that being said, so a couple of people want to know, these tools that you mentioned, are the tools that you should know before they can land a job, or they're tools that they learn to use on the job? A lot of people are same thing with the skills like I asked earlier. Do I have to come already made? What's the minimum requirements for coming to here? I know that there's a lot I'm going to learn on the job, but like, what do I need to come with?
Okay. So it's not compulsory, how to use all these tools before you come in. You might not even understand if you're trying to learn them on your own. But if you already understand, if you already have some of these technical skills, I think when you come on the job, and I think there should be a little training for you before you start. So I think then you can put into practice the skills that you've learned. It makes it easier for you to quickly understand how this thing works. So you don't really need to learn how to use some of these tools before you come in.
All right. Okay. So a couple of people want to know, can you easily pivot your career, like pivot from SOC analyst to incident response, or to an incident response role, or are there certain certifications you must have acquired to make that switch?
Okay. Before you can make a switch, I think you should have been experienced enough and understand some things. Certification is important, but the skills is more important. So you might have the certification but not really know what is there. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. So having the certification is not enough, but getting the skills is a major part. And then yes, you can pivot to being an incident responder. You can pivot to being an incident responder.
Okay, so I'm not sure we got that quite clearly. So to pivot from being a SOC analyst to an incident responder, I know that that differs from organization to organization. There are still things you learn on the go. You can't learn everything. But what's the minimum requirements across board? Do I need to take a certification exam like CompTIA? Do I have to do something? I know we're more skill oriented, but is there something I can do on my own to make sure I'm better positioned to get that role?
Okay, so I think your level of expertise with the tools also should have improved before you can pivot to be an incident responder. Yes, you need certifications, but regardless, you also need the skills. You need the skills behind this certification. You must be able to put into practice the skills that you have gained from those certifications. Did you get that?
We did get that. So there are two questions we have from that. Wow, okay. The questions keep coming in. There are two questions we have from that. One being, so there are certifications we can take. Do you mind telling us some of them we can take? Also, what is the best way we can show that we have mastered the skill? To
Best way
interview,
to do what?
to show that we've mastered the skill. How do we best display this knowledge? Yeah. So if there's something you can do, I know lots of front end people, web designers, they design something like a dumb, I forgot what it's called, like a dummy, and then share the link with recruiters. Oh, I did that, I can do more. So how do you do it as a SOC analyst? How do you display this
Okay.
knowledge gain?
Okay, the way you can display the skills you've gained or to show your level of expertise is the way you analyze the incident, the way you analyze your data, the way you when these alerts come on the scene from the different log sources, your level of expertise is going to show in the way you investigate and analyze the data. And when I see a ticket, let me tell you, when I see a ticket that's a tier 2 opened and a tier 1 open, there will always be a difference, because the way a tier 2 is going to put it together and explain some of these things is going to be more in-depth than a tier 1. There might be some things that the tier 1 might not even see, might not have seen, but a tier 2 would have put explain further than a tier 1. So I just feel that the level of expertise is going to show through your work. It's not like you need to go and you need to display it for SOC analysts, and when you compare it with the front end, it's a bit different, because in this case, your work is going to be the one to speak for you. So when you say that you want to show your level of expertise, it should show through the way you analyze your data, the way you interpret it, and the way you report it. Your level of reporting, your skills, it will have improved a lot, and people are going to see it. I think that's the way you can show your level of expertise as a SOC analyst.
All right, thank you so much. So I know there are lots of questions in the chat box that we haven't gotten to, and most of them are overlapping questions that had been answered earlier. I don't want to have a speaker go back and forth. So if you missed the answer to a question, it's already been asked. Please watch the recording. It's available, made available again. We can go back and listen to everything she said. Also, we can't learn everything today. And I'm sure there are a couple of things she's going to be saying to you that it just seems all too strange. I'm sure when you mentioned SIM, I'm like, what is that? Why are you confusing your sister? But a lot of these things are going to make more sense in the coming weeks. How they play out in reality makes more sense in the coming weeks. But yes, thank you so much. Before we let you go, I have one last question. Right. I know I started off with asking you to tell us something, that you particularly enjoy. And she said she enjoys movies. I also want to know, there's something everybody does to better improve themselves, to advance their knowledge in their careers. That's not necessarily only by working. So how do you do that for yourself? How do you gain this knowledge? What is that one thing that you do that may be somewhat insignificant, but you've found that helps you grow career-wise?
Okay. One thing that you need to know, that the way everybody assimilate things are going to differ from one another. And one thing I do is is to not stop reading, because there's always a new thing that you need to know, and this information are just too much to consume and understand. So what I do is I make sure that I read at least 1 hour a day, just to improve myself. Then to make the work make more sense, because there are times that you have to do a lot of imaginations in your head to try to play the way the things have happened in the way it might have happened in the network, and you're trying to just make it look real so that you can understand the way it works is. I think the best way I do this is I try to look to use platforms that whereby you can actually see these things like you could see them real. So one of them is a security blue team. Then we have Try Acme. So this platform actually helped me in understanding better the way this thing actually work in real sense. Did you get that?
I did. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Okay, so I like to think that we are very modern, social media oriented people right here, and I understand that this as much as people watch, in as much as people watch online tutorials, people read books to acquire knowledge, actually acquire knowledge on social media as well. Are there anybody, many people that you think are SOC analysts that they should follow on Twitter, LinkedIn, or whatever? Are there people they should look out for? Or anyone you want to recommend? SOC analyst, cybersecurity professional as well, or a podcast you can recommend that they can listen to? Anything of that sort?
I don't really have I don't have any podcast currently that you can listen to, but you can actually check you can check LinkedIn for some of these people. I really do not have their names in my head right now. I'm sorry, I don't really have their names in my head. Yes, but these resources are everywhere online. You can search YouTube. I'm very sure that you're going to find something. I'm very sorry. I don't have any in my head right now.
That's fine. Some of us actually want to follow you on social media. So do you mind sharing the platforms where you're most comfortable with them reaching out to follow?
Okay.
Some of us want to follow you on social media. So any platform you are very comfortable with us liking and following you on, you can go ahead.
You can follow me. You can follow me on LinkedIn and on Twitter.
Okay, LinkedIn. It's obviously Oluwabumi or Larry Wachu.
Yes, I'm on Twitter.
Okay, on Twitter, what's your handle?
Okay, my handle is Bumi Tech.
All right, Bumi Tech. And let's not forget, she writes Medium articles. Please go on Medium and learn a couple of things from her. It's Cyber Gist with Bumi. Cyber Gist spelled CYBRGIST WITH with, and Bumi is spelled BUNMI. Cyber Gist with Bumi. It's been a lovely time chatting with you, Bumi. I can't help but say that I've learned a thing or two, and I certainly want to become a SOC analyst. I hope that doesn't change by morning, but thank you so much. And there are a lot of people who are motivated by this, and we want to really thank you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. We understand that this is a Tuesday, and you can see in the comment section, people are saying thank you. So, but can we just go on and appreciate Oluwabumi for taking that time to speak with us today? Thank you so much. Thank you. So I'm just going to remove you from the spotlight.
Thank you for having me. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
And all right. If you have any question, you guys can reach out to me.
All right. So if you have any questions, please reach out to her on LinkedIn as much as possible. Compact your question into one solid message to get the best response from her. And be patient. She's going to get around to respond to everyone. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye. So I understand that we've had a good time. Yes, I'm sure there are many people who want to be SOC analysts already. Like I said, it's not a one-time thing. Bumi can answer all your questions at once. A lot of your questions will come from a place of knowledge. So if you do not mind, go online today, research, find out, just quickly Google SOC analyst tier 1, job requirements. Those are the fastest and best ways to know what is required of you for an entry-level job. Just look through the requirements, and if there are things on an exam you need to write, just look for it and start doing the necessary. Also, as much as possible, take advantage of free courses on LinkedIn. There are so many of them. Check again for people who you can follow. See, Google is your best friend to guide you through this journey. She's been outstanding. She's answered questions, but yes, you have to do the work yourself as well. So feel free to go online, find some answers to your questions. And I'm sure by the time you read, you have some more questions, and then you can put them together in one beautifully composed message and send to Bumi on LinkedIn, and at her own pace, she can answer them. So thank you everyone for making out time to attend this session. And I really hope that this helps guide your decision on picking a career path. at the end of this series. So that'll be all from my end. So thank you very much, everyone. Do have a lovely day and goodbye.